Okay, it's the end of the session. I'm here with Hazel, and yes, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of summarize. Of course, somebody decides to mow the lawn at the same time, so I'll try to be quick. All right, so basically, we started off by talking about exercise. Hazel being a working dog and being a herding breed, she needs at least a minimum of about an hour and a half worth of exercise every day. The Guardian does a good job of walking her on nice days, but we need to walk her or get her other exercise on a regular basis. So remember, I'm going to just name a couple of the things we talked about. I'm not going to talk about how to do it, but remember, always the treat goes in the mouth first. They hear the command word. So for the doggy stairmaster, show her you have the treat, throw it to the bottom of the stairs. She runs down, licks it up, say Jamaica, or whatever the word is, Galveston. She runs back to the top of the stairs, give her another treat, and call it Canada. And keep on doing that with an empty stomach the first time until she doesn't come down anymore or go down there anymore. Now we know, and counting down up is 1. Now we know the maximum number. You want to exercise her 50 to 75% of the maximum number multiple times a day. Let me see. And if she's being a nuisance, ask yourself how long it's been she's exercised. Take her, if it's longer than an hour, take her to the stairs. You're gonna have a guest come over, exercise her before that. You're gonna do the counter conditioning exercise in the video above, exercising her first. Just make sure after the exercise she gets at least 10, Michael Jackson, gets at least 10 minutes to recover before the person comes to the door or before we do whatever the next thing is. But you can set her up for success by exercising her and giving that recovery period. And remember, it's gonna be different amounts. So it might be that she needs, before practicing the counter conditioning exercise, she might need 15 up downs on the stairs. Before actually having a guest come over, it might be 25. That's okay. You want to kind of play around with those elements so you find out what you need. Let me see. We also talked about scent games. Just Google scent games. Those are great things for her to do because she's using her nose. Remember to teach her the drop command. So when she has an object in her mouth, hold the treat up in front of her, and don't tell her to do anything. When she drops the item, preferably low value items, pop the treat in her mouth, say the word drop, and don't pick up the item. Eventually say drop, and she'll drop anything. Let me see, and then once you get to that point, then you can start playing fetch. Now, when I play fetch, I say fetch 3 times. As I throw the object, I say fetch. When the dog picks it up, I say fetch. And then when I pop the treat in their mouth, I say fetch the 3rd time. That links all 3 of those things together. And then fetch can become a wonderful way to come. We're not ready to get past the training yet. But fetch can be another great way to exercise her. Walks are wonderful, and the Guardian here does a great job. She lets her sniff. Most people don't realize that for dogs, they burn more energy by sniffing on a walk than they do from actually walking. So letting her sniff, as long as it's safe to do so, is great. Sit. Let me see. You could also, I would recommend getting a snuffle mat and an Omega Paw treat ball, and probably a couple other treat puzzles or food dispensing games. There are a couple different names on Amazon. If you can't find any, let me know, and I can suggest some. But those are great. The treat Omega Paw treat ball is about $20. That would be something that would be great to give her and let her roll around when you have guests over watching TV. So that way it kind of preoccupies her and she's focused on that instead of me or the guest. You could also get her a doggy backpack. It looks like a harness, but right here and on this side there's pockets, and you can put like a bottle of water, you put some bags of sand or whatever it is, and that way the dog is carrying some extra weight, and that helps a lot of dogs. It makes the walk also more efficient. So those are great ways to exercise her. I'd also highly recommend getting her a snuffle mat. The gray one that I showed you in the videos, that's the first one you'll see on Amazon. It's about $35. You can wash it afterwards, and it will need to get washed, but not after every meal, but every once in a while. And now she has to work for her food. That'll help boost her self-esteem and confidence. It's also draining of energy. The Omega treat ball and the snuffle mat and scent games. All these things are ways to drain energy. So you gotta find the right combination. And exercise for dogs is best done every about 2 to 4 hours. So if she's naughty, being a nuisance, she's licking things, she's whining, ask yourself how long she's been exercised, sit, and then get her a little bit of exercise. Remember, 5 minutes on the stairs is equivalent to like a 30-minute walk. We also talked about the importance of rules and a couple housekeeping things. So remember, anything your dog is doing when you pet her is what you're specifically rewarding. If I pet her now, I'm saying, I like you barking. If I pet her when she's nervous, I can make her more nervous, scared, more scared, aggressive, more aggressive, jumpy. So when she jumps up on you, it's okay. When she is nervous like this, I can lay my hand on her, and this is associated with, this touch is associated with love and affection. It's relaxing. But as soon as I start petting her, I'm going to amplify and cause her to think that the barking of the lawnmower is what got me that attention. So if she ever is scared or fearful or reactive to something, the best thing to do is increase distance between her and whatever she's reactive to. But if you want to be calming for her, just lay your hand on her and just don't pet. All right, now anything your dog is doing when you pet is what you're reinforcing. Anything your dog does in your presence that you don't disagree with is the same thing as saying that is my seal of approval. So not saying no is akin to saying yes. And remember, dogs probe to determine where boundaries and limits are. So a dog probes and comes back and probes again and probes again. It's testing you. Either you're going to be equal to the task, or the dog's going to be like, yep, Connor was efficient, and every time I try to cross the threshold to come in the kitchen, he said no. He clearly doesn't want me to go in the kitchen. But every time you don't do that, you set your progress back a lot. So be very, very consistent. Remember, it takes 66 days to form a behavior pattern or a habit. Also, dogs learn through repetition, consistency, and good timing. You have 3 seconds only to correct or reward a dog. Also, dogs have something called learned irrelevance. If a word is repeated to them a lot, they start listening for it. So I'd like you to use the watchword of repeat or rerun. If somebody in the house is saying sit, 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 repeat, thank you. So we just want to say it once. For her, if she, say it once, if she doesn't do what you want, she doesn't get a punishment. She just doesn't get any recognition or reward. So no pets, no treats, nada. After a while, that motivates her to want to do whatever it is you want her to do. All right, so for the other rules are, it's important that they're in place for a minimum of 66 days. So I usually tell people 3 months or as long as the problem's still going on. So the first rule that I go over is not allowing the dogs in the furniture. She's not allowed in the furniture when guests come over. But for dogs, it's kind of a sit. It's an all or nothing proposition. And remember, every time you let crash, every time that you let her break the rule, she's going to think that she's going to come back and try to do it more and more often. So if you want to reward her, rub her belly, take her for a walk, play tug of war, play fetch. There's a lot of things you can do to reward her. Don't break a rule to reward her. It's very frustrating, and that frustration leads to a lot of other problems. So, all right, so be consistent with these rules. The first rule is not being allowed in the furniture. You can order those X mats, the letter X, M-A-T-S. You need 1 for each cushion. So you probably need 3, 4, 5 for the couch, 1 for the yellow chair. So you probably need about 6 of them. They're about $11 a piece, so you're gonna pay about 60, 70 bucks. But it's well worth it because the higher dog sits, the more rank or social status they have. So if we let her sit at the same height, that's one of the ways we say we're equals. And if we're equals, then listening to us is optional, which we don't want that to be the case. So I just get the X mats, makes it a lot easier. If you want to let her continue sleeping when you're in the bed, I would probably recommend against it because you have a little one on the way and you might want to have the baby in the bed. You have to help her practice this stuff ahead of time. So I would get her a dog bed put in your bedroom. And I have a video for that. Remember, just throw the treat on the dog bed when she has 1 or more paws on the dog bed. Say the name and give each dog bed a unique command word. Remember to keep the dog bed light gray, white, or light cream, no pattern on it. And that way you can throw the treat and she'll see the treat on it right away. You might have to do that 2 or 3 times, but eventually she goes to the dog bed because that's where treats are. And when she's out in the backyard, leave a treat on the dog bed as well. So every time she comes back in, there's a treat waiting for me. I got a video on this, so I'm not going to go into more detail, but if you have problems with it, let me know. I'm happy to share the video with you. Another trick is you have to sit at the door. So I go to the door, I say sit once. If she doesn't sit within 3 seconds, I sit down nearby. And so you might have to sit on the floor in your kitchen and just read a little bit, wait 1 minute. After 1 minute, go back to the door, command her again. She doesn't sit this time, I sit down for 2 minutes, then for 4 minutes, then for 8 minutes, keep double length of time. But as soon as she sits down, fly that door open. Eventually she'll sit to ask, can I go out the door? Then you can do it coming in the door, going out of the door to the front of the house, going into the car, any door, so you're asking her to do a little something for you. The lawnmower is getting closer. So the other thing that you could do and build off that is once you've achieved that at the door, message me and I can send the video to you on how to teach her to stay at the door with the door wide open. She's a door dasher. So we didn't have a chance to go through that in this session because we covered other stuff, but please message me. I'm happy to go over that with you. And that's a great way to teach to stop her from door dashing. All right, other rules: not be allowed in the kitchen when we're preparing food, or not be allowed in the living room when people are eating there. Remember, put that painter's tape on the ground. Use the technique that I showed you to keep her out. So using those escalating consequences. If you forget how to do those, just go to my website and search for the word invisible or kitchen, and it has videos that demonstrate me doing that. Hey, it's okay. So again, if I pet her, I'm reinforcing it. So I'm just laying my hand on her and not moving it, and see how that stopped her from barking. Mostly. We want to do the focus exercise. So for the focus exercise, I'm going to give you the rundown of that real quick. So first, make sure you're holding the treat in your thumb and forefinger and you're pushing it against your knee. So as soon as she looks up at you, raise your nose, go straight to her mouth, focus, don't twist your wrist. So keep on doing this 1 second, 1 second until she is just pretty much looking up at you right away. Then we go 1 second, 2 seconds, for all 12 treats. Next person that does it, 3 seconds for the nose. But always touch the tip of your nose and eventually get to the point where you're at 15 seconds within 7 days. It's okay. And do that in different parts of your house. Anytime you're practicing training your dog, you want to practice in different parts of your house. Dogs do not generalize well, so you need to practice in a whole bunch of different iterations. I'm going to do a little focus to keep her from barking at those cats over there while I talk to you about the rest of it. Okay, so the focus exercise, I would recommend each one of you guys to practice that 2 or 3 times, probably 3 times a day with 12 treats each time you practice. And you want to get that 15-second focus on the second movement. And so remember, when she's whining or whimpering or biting or jumping up, she doesn't get it. She has to look at us without doing any of those things. And don't do what I just did. I just want to get her jump started. Focus, come here. Sit. Focus. Now she was mouthing at me there, but it's still early for her to do it. Sit. I would try to get her to sit to the end. She can do it from standing, but it's easier to do it when she's in an SAT position. Focus, and she just gave me an eye flicker. All it's got to be a flicker of eye contact, and that raises it to my nose. All right, so let me see. Focus, sit. When you're giving her commands, say it twice. Sit, sit. So either pet her or give her the reward and say it. That's the most important time to say it. Don't say good dog when she sits. A lot of people say sit, good dog. Sit, sit. So you'll say it twice. That second time is the most important time to hear it. Remember not to repeat sit, sit, sit. Say it once, then show her I got other things going on. All right, we also talked about petting with a purpose and passive training. Petting with a purpose, if she's nudging me, jumping up, or demanding attention, pawing at me, she's telling me what to do. Remember, leaders tell and followers ask. So next time she nudges you, like right here, sit. 1, 2, 3. If she didn't sit by 3, then I show her that I have other things to do. Pull out your phone, check some emails, watch TV, make out with the wife, read a magazine. See how quickly I was able to get her back? Because she likes these treats. Sit. And you got to chew them up. No more spitting the treats out. Sit. Yes, I have a whole bunch more for you, but you can't get them for barking over there. Sit. And that's the main. Now this is a little cross-contamination essentially. So she's frustrated at them doing the lawn. I have treats. I'm not listening to or giving it to her, so she's getting a little more aggressive with me. She's not aggressive, but she's being more intense about trying to get these treats from. Remember to have your guests do the focus exercise, and I have that's what I call it. And you can also search my website. I got probably 100 videos showing how to do the focus exercise. What I'd like you to do, because she has some eye contact dominance issues, is again have your guests come over, exercise her first. Have your guests come over, sit, do like 5 or 6 focuses yourself, and when she's really dialing in with you, focus, hand them to your guest who's sitting right next to you, and the guest has her focusing. Now she's practicing looking the guest eye, or the guest looking at her eyes, and good things happening. That's an important thing. She has eye contact issues. Until you fix that, I would tell your guests to try to avoid direct eye contact for her. All right, so petting with a purpose. Leaders tell, followers ask. She nudges you and you pet her, you're telling her she's in charge of you. Instead, when she nudges you, give her a counter or sit. 1, 2, 3. If she sits within that 3-second window, I'd pet her. If she doesn't sit like she did right there, just pull your arms back, cross your arms, get her out of your reach, and then go back to show her you have other things to do. So the more that you pet her when she doesn't respond, the less she needs to respond. So instead what we want to do is we want to, you do what I want in the 3 seconds, and you get a treat, or you get a pet, excuse me, in this case. If you don't do it, I'm on to other things. After a while, she'll start sitting to prepay for that attention. When she does that, make sure you do recognize her, otherwise she'll go back to doing this, which we don't like. Sit. Sit. And pet her under her chin and pet her as much or as little as you want. And if you stop petting her, she does it again. Ask yourself how long it's been since you said exercise. If it's been longer than an hour, take her to the stairs or play fetch or whatever it is. And remember to use the watch word paycheck. If someone's petting without a purpose, you say paycheck. That person, even if they did it right, they stop, they tell her to sit. Sitting here, tell her to sit over here. And then you pet her and pet her as much or as little as you want. So she has to sit or lay down. Don't do shake. And if somebody says paycheck to me and I'm petting her, and even if I did it right, I would stop petting her, say sit. Also, she's licking stuff compulsively, get her some exercise. So I say sit. If she sits, pet her on your chin and say, I actually asked her to sit, you missed it. But thanks for reminding me, because I do forget to pet without a purpose. So that's petting with purpose. So if you want to pet her or she's demanding you to pet her and she's not prepaying for it, you tell her to sit or lie down. And we use the watchword of paycheck if someone's petting you suspect without a purpose. Passive training is what I was doing in the first part of this video. Every time she comes to you, pet her and say come. Every time she sits, pet her and say sit. Every time she lays down, pet her and say crash. Every time she eats food, call it meatball or whatever it is, come, she just came to me. Every time she drinks water, say agua or water or whatever you want to say. So you're associating the action with the command word. And so you're not asking her to do it, you're not showing her a treat, just when she comes to you on her own accord, you pet her and say come. And the more that she does that, the more she's likely to do it. So we have a big pitty coming over here. We'll see if she barks at him. Come. Sit. Now, if she came and I gave her the treat for that, she would think that the barking is what got me to do it. So when she came over, I asked her to do something else. Sit. Crash. Down. Crash. So ask her to stop, call her away from whatever she's doing, ask her to do something else, one or two things, and then reward her for doing those things. Now, we also went over, the watchword for that is celebrate. So if she walked up to me, I missed it, somebody said celebrate, I reach over and pet her, and then I decide what I'm petting her for first. So pet first, and then look at her, she's standing, she probably just came to me, pet her and say come. She's sitting, pet her and say sit, it's pretty obvious, laying down. Celebrate will just help you be more mindful of petting her with the right things. Let me see, what else? Sit. So it's her want to. She thinks that she's going to get the treats because she has gotten the treats in attention for doing whatever she wants. You're going to have to flip that script, so it's going to take a little time. You're going to have ebbs and flows, and that's normal. So practice those things. The counter conditioning exercise, practice that. Try to make a list of all the things that she's reacted to, record the sounds of the trucks or the name of the people, and have them come over and practice those things over and over again until she's proficient. She no longer reacts to them. The whole idea is we want to what we call extinguish the behavior. Yeah, you can't have those treats. These treats are the one I'm going to leave with you. These are called tricky trainers. They have no preservatives, so fold all the air out of it every time you zip it up. If you leave air in here, they'll be hard as M&Ms in like 10 minutes. The reason these work so well is they have such a strong smell, and you can see she loves these treats. I'd also probably recommend getting the doggy crack that I mentioned to you inside. So if you can't find any of those, let me know, but you can get a 15-ounce bag of this Tricky Trainers Soft and Chewy Chicken Liver on Amazon for about 10 bucks. Let me see, what else? I think that's about it. So if you, last thing is go to my website, click on where it says dog behavior column or column, advice column, I can't remember what it said, but the column section, and then do a search on that page for child or baby. I believe it's under child. I've read about 2 or 3 articles about how to introduce a dog to a child or a new baby. So I'd read that, and the more you set the dog up for success ahead of time, the easier it'll be once the baby comes. And also, a little tip for that, if you can arrange to have a dog walker, come by for about 3 to 5 days before the baby's about to come, and then arrange for the dog walker to be here for that full week. So you're gonna have a lot of stuff going on with the baby. Visitors, and just it's new for you, your body's crazy and the baby's crazy and all the rest of this stuff. Having somebody that she's used to walking her and getting her a routine of doing that for about 3 to 5 days, and then you can have them continue that for the first week the baby is home, makes a huge difference. So I can't recommend that enough. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Do you have anything else to say? I'm here. Last thing, I guess we didn't really talk about this, but dogs that know, just like us, when we learn a new skill or command, we sit up taller, we feel better about ourselves. Confident people brush things off. Insecure people are really frazzled. She's a little on the, I don't want to say insecure side, but she could use more secure. So teaching dogs new tricks and commands is a wonderful way to distract them, also to build up their self-esteem and confidence. And so what I would do is go to YouTube and try to teach her hand targeting. I'll just mention a couple. Teach your dog to do a circle. Teach your dog to do a lap around you. If you can't remember how to do these, message me. I have videos on my website to help you. But just make sure they're positive dog training videos. Teach your dog bang your dead. The more tricks that you can teach her, the better, more confident she's going to be, the less reactive she's going to be. Also, the more tools that you have to redirect her attention. But the last thing, she sees you acting like a leader because you're the one that's associated with her learning those things. And so that's really going to be a big factor for her. All right, well, let's come over here so you can see how good looking you are. Come here, sit. I'll show you how to do the hand targeting because it's super simple. So I have an empty hand here. Try to make it empty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop on either side of her head. So I'm going to chop by her ear. She touches her nose there, I put a treat, and I say the word target. We should be able to see in a minute. I could get her to go a little bit further on. So now, target. That was first it was a touch, then it was a lean. See if you can get a step from her. So once you chop your hand, it's frozen. And if she doesn't go for it, pull back and chop closer. And when she touches her hand, put the treat there and say, target. Pull your hand back. Target. Or you can say touch. Boop is another one that people do. Let's see if I can do it again. This is too low. They can't see you when you lay down. I have videos for targeting exercise on my website. Hand targeting is what this is called. It's a nice way to call the dog and also to reposition the dog for pictures and things like that. But the more tricks and commands you can teach her now, the better, easier it'll be with her later on. So what I do, go to YouTube and maybe take turns. 1 week, I'm going to teach her a trick. I'm going to teach her roll over. And then all week long, you want to go outside, roll over. You want your food, roll over. You want to, whatever it is, you want to roll over. After a while, you look at her, she just rolls over. Then the next week, the other guardian takes over and teaches her another trick, maybe bang your dead. And bang your dead to get anything she wants that week. After a while, she has, if you each do 4 new commands over the course of 8 weeks, by the middle of the summer, she has 8 new commands and ways to redirect her attention. All right, sit. Sit. This is Hazel, and this is Hazel's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.